Well, hello, beautiful people. How we doing today? We are back at it once again with the book 3 Feet from Gold by Sharon Leckler, and this is chapter 6. And today I get to do a little bit of a recap because I know a lot of these chapters have been pretty long. And so let's just go over everything, right? So we've got this guy, Greg. He's basically at his wits' end. He seems pretty arrogant. He's not basically doing that well. He ended up his girlfriend ended up leaving him. He's got this huge, nice place, but it sounds like he's run into this low. He's not appreciating anything. We find out that he also has a drunk brother named David, and it starts off with him in this taxi cab. He discovers that he's got another person's jacket, and as arrogant as Greg is like, hey, listen, I want to keep this for myself, unbeknownst to him, knowing that this is actually owned by uh, Buckland, John Buck, whatever, the Buckland guy, Ron Buckland, I think it is, or something like that. I mean, there's so many names right now, and again, because these characters are fictional, but the interviews are real, is from my understanding of how this works. So the information, and then from there he realized there's an opportunity. It ends up flipping on him because again the answers are everywhere. um and now all of a sudden Buckland has taken him in and helped him to become this better person, and Greg is having all these epiphanies, and because he's more coachable and open, he's meeting all these amazing people that Buckland has actually introduced. He's now read the book Think and Grow Rich, which this book is all based upon, because that book is all about people who were the wealthiest people in the world during the industrial industry. So, and I could go into the whole backstory of that if you want. And I think I did it in another video, so I can kind of post it there if you guys really want to understand Think and Grow Rich. But this is the modern day, and so we're just getting these great nuggets, right? That pocket promise, the stickability aspect, and to never quit. That's the key, right? That's why you guys are here today. We're committed to this. I'm doing this every single day, which it's not easy, but I'm doing it for you guys, and it's because it's so important, and I want to reach so many different people, and I love doing this, and it's just great for me as I'm going through my own personal stuff as everybody else is, and we're all in this doing this together, linking arms, which is great. So we're now into chapter 6, and it is getting very exciting because he's now in Vegas. He just met these two girls, Aaron and Lauren and Aaron, and now he's meeting this guy Ron Glazier, who he hasn't even met yet. He just randomly met these girls in line, while he was waiting at the airport, and now he's gonna go meet Ron Glazier, and he's just getting all these nuggets. So again, you guys grab your journals, make sure that you guys are all taking notes, and let's go ahead and get into chapter 6. Here we go.
Poverty and riches are the offspring of thought. Napoleon Hill.
Offspring of thought.
Chapter 6. Formulating Success. Greg handed the driver the fare with a generous tip, thanking him for his hospitality and the trip from the airport. Climbing back into the front seat after helping his fare with his luggage, the cabbie wished all his customers were as friendly and generous as this one.
Hmm.
Little did the driver know that before meeting Buckland, Greg had rarely thanked anyone, nor had he been much of a tipper. Something was changing.
That's right.
Greg wasn't even through the lobby of the hotel when his cell phone rang. A deep, controlled voice said, "Good morning. This is Jack Mates." "Hello, Mr. Mates. Well, call me Jack. I understand you and I will be getting together later today." "Yes, and I'm looking forward to it. Where shall we meet?" "There's a coffee shop in the Riviera called Katie's. It's a classic. They've been talking about tearing the place down for years. You should experience it before it's gone." "It sounds perfect," the tourist concluded. "Let's make it around 1 o'clock so we miss the lunch crowd." Greg got to the coffee shop early. When Jack arrived, Greg immediately identified him, although the two had never met. Showing up in a pressed button-down shirt and a sweater, Mates had a sophisticated appearance and a distinctly positive aura. "You must be Greg," he said. reaching to shake hands. Over the years, Buckland has only asked me to meet a handful of people. You must be special. I didn't realize that. Thanks for sharing the information. It's an honor to meet you. As they sat down at a table across from each other, Mates asked, "How may I serve you?" "Serve me?" repeated Greg. "No one ever asked me that question. I should be asking how I can serve you." "On my flight over, I read through your bio. I have to say, it is humbling to be sitting with you now. Just knowing that you're the former CEO of Velcro USA, that you're a war hero, and that you helped start the Distinguished Flying Cross Society intimidates me a bit." Jack said, "No, I don't see myself as a hero, more of a patriot who's done his part to serve his country and the greater cause." "Let me switch gears and ask about Velcro in the early days. What was it like?" "It was exciting. Though when it was first released, the product definitely was not received eagerly. Plus, there were many more challenges along the way. Most people would have probably quit at some point." "Challenges?" Greg prompted. "Oh my, yes. You see, when we first started, we recognized the unbelievable possibilities of Velcro, yet we had to go through years of R&D, just like the makers of most products." "Such as?" "Well, for one thing, getting the hooks to work the right way. The idea originally came to the Swiss inventor George de Mestral after he had been walking his dog through a field. He discovered that his dog's coat and his pants were covered with cockleburrs, and it made him think how useful it would be to recreate the sticking action in everyday products. The hook part clung to the soft material and created the bond. Attempting to reproduce that in a product form was our first obstacle. You cannot manufacture an actual hook made from a polyester line or string." "What did you do?" "We discovered that if we made simple loops of the thread, then cut them in the center, they would automatically retract to create two hooks going in the opposite direction and give us the result we were looking for." "Sounds simple." Greg sipped his coffee. "Most challenges in life have simple solutions. Sometimes you just need to step back and look at the situation. Look at it from different angles to get the best perspective. You wouldn't believe how many attempts it took us to figure out the Velcro hook." Greg pulled out his notebook and wrote, "Sometimes you have to step back and look at your situation from a different angle to find a different solution." Greg then asked the question that had been running through his head since he first learned he would be meeting this industry maverick. "I'm in sales. I have been my whole life. I need to know something, and you may be the only person who can explain it. How on earth did you sell 5 billion people Velcro?" "We didn't," came the quick reply. "We sold Velcro to 5 people." Greg stared at his lunch partner with a confused expression. Mate said, "What I did was capture the leaders. I knew it would take forever to discover and sell everyone in the world on the many uses of this ingenious material. So I set my sights on selling only 5 specific individuals, the heads of the automotive, medical, aerospace, fashion, and furniture industries. In other words, I captured the leaders and then allowed them to corner their individual markets. In turn, they discovered the applications for the product and sold it to the ultimate consumers." Greg's brain churned through the simplicity and the magnitude of such a message. "Now," Mates added, "it seems you can't find a pair of shoes, a seat on a plane, or a blood pressure cuff without the stuff. It's everywhere." Greg flipped open his notebook and wrote, "Capture the leaders, corner the market." Greg asked, "So, before you got to that level, was it pretty challenging in the early years?" "It really was. What kept us going was our sense of purpose. As I mentioned, there were many years of trial and error before we got the product to work properly. We knew it would revolutionize the fastener industry, and we needed to keep going. No matter what, we just wouldn't quit. As in many startups, it even got to the point where we couldn't afford payroll, so I had to mortgage my house to pay the staff. That's how much I was committed to the dream." "That's amazing. Wish I could find something that I was that passionate about." "You can," Mates exclaimed. "I think that's why Bucky sent you to me, to discover your success equation." "Oh, yeah, Mr. Buckland said something about that." Another young man I mentored came up with it and included it in a movie he made called Pass It On. After interviewing hundreds of leaders, he put into words what these people have done to create a life of sustained abundance. Jack paused and looked at Greg's notepad. Let me borrow that, please. Sure, Greg said, sliding it over. Jack Mates flipped to a clean sheet and wrote, the sum of P and T times A equals success. Pointing at the first letter in the equation, P, Mate said, this stands for passion. Combine your passion, what you would do if you could do it for free. He moved his finger to the T, with your talent, what you're really good at. Multiply that by finding the right association. He pointed to the first A, which means with the right people or organizations, and then the second A. And when you do so with taking action, you just may discover your life's purpose. Do this, and you will have great success. It works. Greg mused as he looked at the equation. But what if my passion is professional basketball and my talent is, say, management? Throw in the fact that I'm an out of shape bald man. I'd have a hard time being able to do that for a living, right? You're both right and wrong, Jack noted with a smile. If you love basketball and you're a great manager, couldn't you simply find the right association and take action to become a basketball coach on a local campus? Become a sports announcer for TV or radio, buy a team, open a basketball apparel store, sell tickets to the game, become a camera operator at the sports arena? I get it. It wouldn't matter what position I held because I'd still be combining what I love with what I do best. So do something I love that I'm good at with the right people. You got it. All people have their own equation that is best for them. Really? Absolutely, said Jack. That was someone who loved to travel. That was his passion. Like your example, he too was a great manager. So he created a career for himself by calling the top resorts around the world and offering his services as a secret shopper. Now, all he does is travel to exotic locations, stay in the best suites, order room service, play golf, and get spa treatments. He evaluates the resort services and reports his findings back to the resorts so they can make improvements. And by doing so, he helps create the best experience possible for their guests. I see. He followed his passion, combined it with his talent, and took action by creating his position and did it with 5 diamond hotels. That's amazing. Greg picked up the tab to pay the bill. Is there a process for applying the equation? Yes, and it's pretty simple. Jack flipped to another sheet of paper and began to write as he spoke. On one side, list 10 things you would do if you could do them for free. It could be anything that makes your heart sing. Then, on the other side, list 10 things you're good at, where you excel. Then, sit down with people who know you best and ask them for their help. With their input, remove one item from each side of the list until you're left with only 2. One from the passion side and one from the talent side. Then find a way to combine those 2 things. Once complete, commit to taking action alongside the right association, and you may just have discovered your own success equation. Passion on one side, 1 through 10. Talent on the other, 1 through 10. You have my number. Call me if I can be of assistance to you along your journey. You have good energy, and you seem determined to learn. I can see why Buckland is supporting you. With these words of encouragement, Mates and Greg exchanged their goodbyes, and Greg headed back to his hotel. He needed to call someone he'd been trying to reach for several days.
All right. Let's stop right there. Let me come back to you guys. Here we go. Well, what a inspirational formula we got here. This guy, Jack Mates, I think that's a funny name. It's an interesting name. Has literally come up with a formula that I think we all should write down, and I want to give it to you guys again. So let me just go ahead and pull that back up again. Give me 1 second here. Here we go. So the first one is P plus T times A equals success. So P, which stands for passion, so that's P, and then we've got T, which is for talent. Okay. And then you multiply that by finding the right association, which is A, which means working with the right people or organizations and then taking action. So A is association and then also for action. And then what he said to, which I found really profound, is when you get down to here, okay, now instead of you trying to figure this out, this is where you could bring family members, people that you trust. Just make sure that they're not dream stealers. To you write down 10 things that you're passionate about, one on one side, and then you write 10 things that you're talented at, 1 through 10, and then go to your friends and family and ask them, what they think, and then slowly cross off one from the other. And then when you're left with two on each side, those are your success equations. So, and you combine those two things with the P plus T times A times A. So passion plus talent times association times action equals success. So I hope you guys get that. That's really powerful. And I think it's a great idea. It's kind of really how I started this channel, to be honest with you. Um, because I knew that this is something that I was very passionate about. And because I have my 20 years of experience, it just seemed like a foregone conclusion. And so now it's just creating the success behind it, getting to the right people, which again, that's a work in progress. Right now, my goal is just to get you guys out the content who needs to see it. And then the channel will just grow the way that it is. And I'm really enjoying doing this. And you guys will find, if you're looking, for your passion. And again, it doesn't matter because life is abundant as far as whether you're going to make money from it or not, because it's all going to happen together. And you got to really start thinking in multiple streams of income, anyways, because it's just not going to all come from one source, depending on how much money you see yourself making, anyways. And again, money is energy. So just always remember that also, too. Okay. So I hope you guys really did enjoy this. Thank you guys so much. Comment down below your thoughts if you are going to start applying this. They did mention a movie called Pass It On, which I did see. I do recommend watching that movie also, too. It's really good. I'm going to go watch it again, matter of fact. I think it was out in 2007 when that movie came out. So it's also very enlightening. And if you have time, watch that movie. But until next time, make sure, if you guys haven't already, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of this great content. And until next time, you guys make it a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.